question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until Election Day of 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to Election Day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been
I'm talking about gun violence
in a school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns? More guns lead to more death. More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more deaths. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Calm down, children are dying. 9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? 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 It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me. Okay, I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal.
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked in the school for 20 years. So I worked in school 20 years.
In every school,
I was a teacher. I was a school counselor. I was a middle school principal. I was in cafeterias protecting kids every day of my career.
There's never been a shooting. Never been a shooting. It's time. We've got guns here to protect us. And we believe the kids should have somebody to protect them. Every school that's allowed it has never had a shooting, not even an accidental discharge in any of the schools. So. Yeah, absolutely. Next week, I'm reintroducing.
Welcome to Straight Out of Politics. I almost want to say welcome straight out of a clown show. Sorry for the late start. I almost was going to cancel this live. I was not feeling like going live at all. And then went to my garage and started watching some stuff. And then I said, let's do it. So so what it looks to me like, if I was play-by-play, like if this was a basketball game and I was calling a play-by-play, it would be like Jamaal Bowman came out to do his monologue. So Jamaal Bowman came out to the stage to do a monologue. Okay, to do Shakespeare. That's what he did. He came out, he cleared his throat and began to do his monologue, his rehearsed monologue for the cameras. Because he could have did this many times during the Democratic run in the House. But he began his monologue and then he broke one of the actor's cardinal rules. This freaking extra upstaged him. The extra came in and had the audacity to interject. A non-speaking extra at that had the audacity to interject while I guess Othello was presenting a soliloquy or whatever it's called. But that was essentially what happened. Now, we're going to dive deep into it a lot more. But that's essentially what it was. Let me see what some of you are saying. I mean, it was just, and the thing is, let me admit, this was the first time I watched it. Yeah. I knew I couldn't take it, but once. But I knew everybody's description of it. I watched like TYT's description, Sam's description without watching the video, because I can't deal with this shit no more. This progressive narrative world that I've been in for the last 10 months going hard at. And this is partly why I was like, man, I really don't feel like going live. I'm tired of talking about these people. I'm tired of talking about, when I say these people, I mean specifically the Jamaal Bowmans, the AOCs, the Bernie Sanders, the Ilhan Omars, Rashida Tlaibs, the Rokanas, all the people that sold everybody out. So, yeah, I'm completely winding down this, but I guess this is what I did, because I was gonna go earlier, and I told Nick, hey, I'm gonna go around 2 p.m. So I was looking at stories, and I couldn't find a story I wanted to do, and everything everybody was talking about before the Trump information came out was this. So I was like, all right, I guess I can work myself into it later in the day. I'll go on for like 60 minutes and cover it. And then the Trump stuff happens. So I'll be covering that and Trump and then leaving. So this will be a lot shorter stream than normal, but it needed to be covered. This is literally what it looks like. What it literally looks like is what it is. You have people performing in front of a camera. And like I said, you had Jamaal Bowman literally begin a monologue. And he was getting right into the grits of it and had a freaking heckler and got upset. But let's look at some of what you have said about this stuff. Yeah, absolutely clown shit. And this is new member, I think, is it Carlos? Is that pronounced the same way, even with the U? But Carlos Magnus, welcome. Brand new YouTube member for RBN. And we have another one, Mark Collins. I know Mark Collins. I've seen you here, and you now have become a member. Welcome, Mark Collins, RBN community member, or on YouTube at least. Now, I could have swore there was some earlier comments. Now I can't see them. I could have swore one said something like Thomas Massie is kind of based. Maybe they deleted them, but I don't see them there now. The first comment I see is circus time. So that's the first comment I see. Maybe it wasn't the first comment. Let's see. I thought it was. But yes, and that's the reason for the title. Clash of the Clowns. And there's people, and I gotta start taking a different approach. I've been on some woosah stuff lately. Oh, and this event, I took my daughter to a little kids town play, so I still had the little tag. So you can't walk off with somebody else's kids, but I've been going through some little woosah steps and having a lot of stress. And it's kind of a little bit of tied to doing this tying, speaking about these progressive politics. I feel like that topic, because that was the topic that kind of failed to me. Everybody in our group is kind of doing a certain thing, and that didn't fall to me, but it was something I focused on and wasn't being focused on by anybody else. And since that seems to be really prevalent, like material can be done literally every day, just like simply going and watching some of the boutique left, the pseudo left, the NATO left on YouTube, you can have content. So I've always had stuff. It got fun at times, it got funny at times, but I'm so tired of it. And I am going to be pivoting. So this is a warning. Pivoting to now. That doesn't mean I'm not going to ever cover this. Like you see here, I'm having to cover this. This is I guess a viral moment. I'm going to have to cover it. It just means it's going to be a lot less because now I'm tired. It's not just that the time is up for the strategy that we were sort of folding out for this, but also kind of burnt out on it. So, but not other topics. Like the Trump topic, I'm fine with. And if I didn't have this topic, I probably would have went live with the Trump topic, seeing that that's kind of big news right now. But let's play it again, and then we'll get into everybody's reaction to it. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to play all of them. I'll just shout them out. I know majority put out a segment about it or a clip about it, and the title is describing it as Jamaal Bowman, some sort of hero or one. Same thing with Humanist Report. He put out something. I didn't check Rational National, TYT. They were live for the Trump stuff, so I don't know if they talked about it. I saw the Trump stuff on TYT. So, but let's actually, I'm sorry. I still haven't went to your comments. I said I was going to do that. I introduced the new members and welcome. So let's go to some of your comments about everything. Thanks for being here, CJ. I enjoy watching your mind work around the issues of the day. Yes, and I'm happy to be here. I'm glad I decided to come. I was not feeling because I'm in transition mode. I go through these every year to 2 years, where there's a different focus. Like some of you who knew me on Twitter, I used to be a Twitter tweets. Now rarely tweet because I feel like I've moved on from that thing. Before that, I was really into like focusing on training my son in basketball. So it was like a good 4 years of just focus on that. It was working at. And then pandemic hit. Pandemic hit, and then some other family stuff happened that drove me kind of hit rock bottom. And then that's when I made a pivot, started doing a lot more reading. That's when I became a lot more involved with politics and where you see me now. But now I feel like I'm staying in politics, but this progressive Democrat thing, I feel like is debunked. So it's time to do something else. It's time to sort of give my energy to some other topics in the way that I gave it to that topic. So more foreign affairs, more foreign policies type of things, more labor things, more like on the ground. I've been doing a lot of research about. So I think I'm gonna make Long Beach, even though my name is Compton J, that's what I go by. I think I'm gonna make the city of Long Beach because that's where I went to college. Part of my high school, that's where I went. My last few years in high school, that's where I went. And family still live there, so I'm always in Long Beach. I feel like I could be more involved since I'm already in Long Beach a lot. In the surrounding cities. When I say Long Beach, I'm including the surrounding cities. If you're in Southern California, so that would be like Dominguez Hills, Carson, Paramount, Cerritos. What's going around Cerritos? And that's Cypress, maybe. There's some smaller cities. So anyway, I went off on a tangent. My bad. Let's get back to some of the other things. So yeah, some of your comments. I keep skipping that. So let's go here. Thanks for being here. This is where I left off. Let's see. How do I change country of origin in membership purchase? Someone bought me a gift membership last month, and that changed my country of origin. Like on your Twitter account, I'm sorry, on your YouTube account, it changed where you are from. Or are you saying the membership is separately shown in a different country? I think it's the first one I said. That's a good question. I've never heard of that. I don't even know who to contact. If that happened to me personally, I would just do the normal thing when you have an issue on YouTube. But we can couch that for a meeting and see if maybe JB or Sabby or somebody may know something like that. So I can couch that question for the members. All right. So any other items, and then, or I want to get some of your. Here we go. Massie was trying to steal the spotlight from a grand thespian, and that is my description. She tried to upstage Othello. And that's essentially how I see it too. Let me turn this up. This is what meth and coke do to your brain, children. I guess that's the description of the shouting match that they had. And I mean, there's people that really are buying into this. Like I said, there's people that's buying that was real, and it's absolutely not real whatsoever. And let's continue. Yeah, need a vacay soon. Sounds like they were casting Harry Potter spells. Isn't that what it sounds like? That's funny. Heard Jeffries tell him he can't handle the truth, and there's somewhere a Few Good Men reference. I get it. They probably planned that and are getting together to have drinks and laugh about fooling their partisan hack supporters. I would not doubt that, and I would not put that past anybody. Next time he will dance his name like like Wardorf School. Alrighty. All right, so yeah, this is what you call clown shit out. And I was just typing that before the video stopped, and then I had to start speaking. But that's exactly what I was typing as the topic on the screen. This is literally clown shit that we just witnessed. And let's play it again, and I'll break it down and then go.
Children at all. Cowards. Pressure them. Force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until election day on 2024.
See, now this is now Nick spoke on this before, the topic of this is the problem with social democrats. This is the problem. They're not willing to place the blame where it actually belongs, which is capital, because they're fine with capital, or they're cozying up to capital for their lifestyle, right? The professional managerial class. So he's not willing to go there with challenging capital as the reason we're here for this. The despair that everybody is living in, or the vast majority of working population and poor is living in the United States, social democrats will not go there. So they go, it's the guns. But the guns is not what made the person want to pick up a gun. They didn't go, hey, look, I just want the gun. It was some other thing that happened in their life that's made them go, hey, now let me go to a gun to now solve what I'm already going through. So social democracy will never work. And I think, what's the guy that does those videos? Second Thought has a video about this, why social democracy will never work. And he's vaguely going into this topic of they're not willing to challenge capital. So he comes out here playing for the crowd and the cameras. Because look, who else is there but the cameras? So he comes out there playing for the crowd and the camera. Now, I don't necessarily have a problem with the theatrics, but I do have a problem with the theatrics if the theatrics don't go and target what the actual issue is, which is capitalism. So instead, he goes to the ruling class approved narrative of what the issue is here, which is gun control. Because we can make this now just red and blue. Now, these social democrats will never admit, or sometimes they do admit, that a lot of the things they want to implement won't even stop a lot of these shootings. I'm not speaking specifically about this recent one, but I'm talking about in general. Because like background checks, there's people that bought guns that went through background checks. And didn't stop anything. It's just like with poverty, it's never to solve why are people committing crime. It's just to the topical part. Oh, it's crime, put them in jail. Because you're not willing to challenge capital. That's the reason why they're never willing talking about fixing the issues of why people commit crime. And it's the same thing he's doing here, because he can't challenge capital. Because then he won't be in the good graces of the Democratic Party, the capitalist party, one of the two capitalist parties. So let's let him speak on it some more.
Let them explain it all the way up to election day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless.
Now, he's so serious about solutions, he brings up the election. So is he serious about gun control? Or he's just grandstanding so he can use this as a way to say vote for Democrats? Shucking and jiving. This is what you call shucking and jiving for the man. That's what we're seeing here with this obvious coon.
Let them explain it all the way up to election day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
What's going on around here? Man, Mr. Thomas here, is it Massie? He comes in and absolutely interrupts his monologue. What's going on here? What's going on here? That's funny. So I'm gonna rewind it back a little bit so you can see that part. All right.
Up to election day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been
I'm talking about gun violence
in a school that allows.
Two people who are elected to actually produce legislation are putting on the show here as if they're on opposite sides. As if they're on opposite sides. Again, fixing the gun issue is not gun control. So what Jamaal Bowman is saying, it doesn't put him on the opposite side to me. And I'll get that in a second once I play the video. But let's rewind it back. I love when he comes in and interrupts him, but let's listen.
It all the way up to election day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been
I'm talking about gun
in a
violence.
school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns?
Would you
More guns lead to more death. More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data.
This is so hilarious to me. Now, when the Senate parliamentarian said no to $15 minimum wage, show me the video where this social democrat came out and did that. Did this show. Show me that. Let's finish this video so we can get some other reaction.
You're carrying the one from the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. Guns, states that have open carry laws have more death.
In every school.
This is such an odd thing. Look, like there's people that are literally just walking by as if this is not happening right here. Then you have two clowns who see that they're holding up traffic, so they slide over. You notice they kind of all slide. They both kind of slid over a little bit to let people by, but to continue their scene. And all of this is being captured by several. This is clown shit. Let's just play. This is such clown shit.
States that have open carry laws have more death. Are you listening to what I'm saying? That's what caused their children are dying.
I'm almost embarrassed. That's why I have my hand like this. I'm almost embarrassed for Jamaal Bowman. Like this is like and I spelled this right. This is clown shit. With 2 eyes. But geez Louise. Let's look at some of your comments. I have to break this up. I can't watch 2 minutes straight of this shit. It was hard for me to do it when during the intro, but I did it off camera, so I was able to, yell and stuff. But thanks for this super chat. A masterclass in political theater. Bowman is so cringeworthy, and I second that emotion. Just Bowman is a absent middle school principal. Samuel Jackson would have played this role with more energy. Samuel L. Somebody should reenact this scene. Some actors reenact this scene, but do it as Samuel L. Jackson. Jamaal Bowman as Samuel L. Jackson. That'll be funny. And maybe Thomas Massie as Forrest Gump. Samuel L. Jackson versus Forrest Gump. Let's do it. But let's listen to the rest of this. Okay.
9-year-old children. Because the solution is not are we teachers? Have you ever worked in a school? 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 It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me. Okay, I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal.
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked in the school for 20 years.
Oh my God. So if we were watching the 5 Heartbeats, and if you know anything about the Black community, 5 Heartbeats is this fictitious movie about a singing group from, like the Temptations. It's like basically it's about the Temptations. But, and you had a lead singer, right? But I think one of the background singers tried to take it, and it was a fight. That's essentially what we had here. One of them went up to grab the solo mic, which is the camera, and he was like, hold on, move. This is clown shit. So I'm going to rewind it back to see this. So they're far away, right? And now it's time to bring that emotion closer to zoom in for their close-up. So look what happens here.
Don't stop and talk to me. Okay, I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal.
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked in the school for 20 years. I worked in the school 20 years.
In every school,
I was a teacher. I was a school counselor. I was a middle school principal.
What are they doing now? So now they're playing directly to cameras. This is embarrassing. Now I'm starting to have second thoughts. Why did I cover this shit? Okay, let's continue.
I was in cafeterias protecting kids every day of my career.
There's never been a shooting. Never been a shooting. It's time. Look, we've got guns here to protect us, and I believe the kids should have somebody to protect them. Every school that's allowed it has never had a shooting, not even an accidental discharge in any of the schools. So. Yeah, absolutely. Next week, I'm reintroducing.
We as Americans, this is our government. These guys combined are making, or paid by us, that is, they're making probably other money in other ways. We're paying them over several $100,000. I think combined, they're well over $300,000 combined. This is what our tax money is paying for? It's depressing. It's depressing. Yeah. Yeah. WWE Friday night. Let's see what you let me read over here because it's smaller over there. It's Lord Schick, I think that's how you say it, crying about grunts to finally send I think that 10 million, 10 million to Nazis for killing children, women in the Donbass. Great point. And then when it comes to our stuff that we need in domestically, this is what they excuse, or as their excuse for why the shit is getting tied up. So terrible. So let's get to some reaction. Now, Twitter is on fire with this shit here. Like on fire with this shit here. Now, I'm not sure if she was one of the first ones, but hers blew up. This is at 2 million. There's other videos, but let's start with the reaction from hers. Now, I think I have some saved. So let's go to the one I have saved first. Let me blow this up. For some reason, my eyesight is dimming. So we'll go to this article, but this one says unhinged Dem rep Jamaal Bowman screams in Rep Thomas Massie's or something. They say that. Then we have this one, Occupy Democrats breaking. Thomas Massie launches racist tirade. What? Wait, what? Is this a different video? Wait. This is the same video. Let's see here. All right, I don't want to jump to conclusions. I'm trying to see where is the racist part of this angle that they're talking about here. Breaking. Thomas Massie launches racist tirade against Congressman Jamaal Bowman. Sickening to see this in the halls of Congress, but what can you expect from Republicans? Retweet if you think Massie should be punished. Like, Occupy Democrats is some clown shit here. Let's put the appropriate words, and now I'll emphasize this a little more. Here we go. So now let's. Goodness. So they're saying this is racist here. Okay. Washington Examiner. This is more conservative leaning. Jamaal Bowman passionately addresses reporter outside the House chambers, criticizing Republicans being gutless for refusing to implement stricter gun regulations, Bowman was interrupted by Thomas Massie, who asked, "What are you talking about?" That's the Washington Examiner. I think that's conservative leaning. This one from the Courier Journal. Jamaal Bowman and Thomas Massie's dispute came days after the Nashville school shooting Monday, when 3 9-year-old students and 3 staff members were killed. And that's from the Courier. This one, Democrats just want to repeal the Second Amendment. And this is from, let's see who this is. Let me make this a little bit smaller so I can see his whole profile. Here. So this is Wayne Dupree. He has almost 500,000 subscribers. He has Rumble, so maybe he's conservative. USFA, decorated vet. And he's also a vet award-winning podcast. I've never heard of him, but Wayne Dupree. Democrats just want to repeal the Second Amendment. That's all they care about. And then the article he posted, squad member Jamaal Bowman throws wild tantrum over guns. Here is Steven Crowder's reaction, and we're going to watch this. It's not even a minute. I don't know if he just plays it or if he showed. Let me see if he has commentary. He does in the beginning. Let's watch Steven Crowder, the few seconds that he comments on it, I guess.
York's 16th district. He screamed at Republican Representative Thomas Massie. There was political theater.
They're gutless. We're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been.
I'm talking about gun violence. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more deaths.
Switched immediately to open carry. Oh, well, hold on. He didn't say anything about open carry.
Yeah.
He just said if you allowed it, I'm assuming you would want it in a teacher like environment. You want it to be concealed so the shooter has no idea.
By the way, that's also a trick because even very liberal states that don't have concealed carry still have open carry.
They create these gun-free zones. You've made everybody in that school, teachers, students, vulnerable.
Yeah.
And he made a valid argument. There's been no shooting in a school where they have guns, the teachers. It's never happened.
Jamaal Bowman of New York's 16th district. He screamed at Republican Representative Thomas Massie. There was political theater.
They're gutless. We're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
All right, so let's go to the next reaction. That's Steve. Is it Steven? Yeah, that's how you say it. Steven Crowder. Huffington Post, New York Rep Jamaal Bowman lost it at Rep Thomas Massie of Kentucky in a congressional hallway after yet another school shooting. That's HuffPost. New York Daily News, progressive Bronx lawmaker Jamaal Bowman gets into a passionate argument with pro-gun GOP lawmaker Thomas Massie over Nashville. You see how they is pro-gun. All right, that's from the the New York Daily. Oh, sorry, I clicked on it by accident. Let's continue, and then I think Bridget Gabrielle is some sort of conservative. Let me see. Survivor of terrorism, founder and chairman, New York bestseller, and a national security expert. Okay, she says Thomas Massie is correct, and Jamaal Bowman is insane. All right, I'm going to go to some other reaction. This is just more reporting. Al Jazeera. It's just there's a lot of reaction to it. What I want to go to is reaction on YouTube. We'll go conservative. And we'll go. We'll go red and blue. I'm not even going to label anything else but red and blue. We'll go some red takes, and we'll go some blue takes. So in my history, I should have majority report. Oh, and some kids watching TV. Sorry. And Sam Cedar. Did you see this? Sam Cedar and Joe Rogan? I watched that on the Vanguard. I didn't even hear about that. But anytime you want drama, the latest on the fight, you know where to go. So let's listen to A little bit. I'm not gonna watch all of these. Anyway. I don't need to keep repeating myself. Let's watch Humanist Reports in the first couple of minutes of their reporting on this. We're gonna skip if they play the fight. We're gonna skip that part because we've already seen that many times. So I don't need to see them fight again. Let's just go to the reaction, and we'll go right here.
You just watched a snippet of a screaming match that took place between middle school principal turned Congressman Jamaal Bowman and Republican Thomas Massie, who over the course of his career took thousands upon thousands of dollars either directly or indirectly from the gun industry. Now, the reason why this took place to begin with is because Jamaal Bowman was basically shaming his Republican colleagues as they walked by because they refused to do anything in the aftermath of another deadly mass shooting. He tweeted out, "Republicans won't do shit when it comes to gun violence, but try to tell me to calm down. No, we can't calm down. People are dying every day while we wait." And he is absolutely correct. If ever there was a time to be angry, now is the time. So let's watch the full.
If ever a time to be angry, now is the time. I'm not sure that's an accurate description, considering, it's a lot of things that has gone on that could have been the time. I've already pointed out some of the things that he could have done.
Full exchange.
In this live.
Ask them, and then go to the Senate, ask the same questions.
Again, I don't need to watch this again. A different angle. Alrighty. All right. So we'll go to the end second, and then he comes in with his commentary here.
That right there is how it's done. We would be in a much better position as a country if more Democrats actually had the courage to do what Jamaal Bowman just did there. And you can see throughout the video, Steny Hoyer was...
You have to understand, in a professional managerial class, this is like Malcolm X style to them, to the professional managerial class. Because I noticed, when they're I have to calibrate, translate what they say when they use the terms, because they don't mean the same thing when I'm using the term. Specifically like radical, or like he did a lot, or he did something. The threshold is a lot lower. So to him, to the professional managerial class, like the Humanist Report, this is great. Just doing this is enough, or is adequate enough, where you say we need more. No, we don't need more people doing this. We need more. What is this going to translate into? He yelled, made some content, and then that's it. Where was this? Wasn't there shootings during the Biden administration? So how did that go? I mean, you're blaming Democrats now, but didn't Manchin and Sinema have something to do with it when it was Democrats running the House? I just don't buy the extra outrage that Jamaal is trying to paint here, because there's been many shootings, as we all know, and this fake outrage doesn't lead anywhere. Okay, so you're outraged, blah, blah, blah. What are you going to do? Are you going to gather your millions of, I don't know if he has a million, however many people he has, are you going to gather all the people on social media and organize them to go to Kentucky, or to protest in Kentucky where he's at in his district? Are you going to do something like that? If it's not backed up, if your theater is not backed up with something. So yeah, I don't need to give another example. Let's continue with Humanist Report.
Was putting his hand on Jamaal Bowman's arm, and I'm assuming he was trying to get him to calm down or stop. But this is the problem with the establishment of the Democratic Party. They're cowards. They're gutless. They lack spines. And so whenever they see somebody actually doing something, justifiably being angry at his GOP colleagues, their first liberal instinct is to cower in fear and think about the political ramifications of this. Oh my God, how will this backfire? Fuck off, Steny Hoyer. What he's doing there is what you should have been doing for decades now. Now, Thomas Massie responded after this went viral on Twitter, saying He wanted to discuss solutions to school shootings, but when I offered a solution, he began shouting. When he asked for data, I gave him data, but then he just shouted more. Bring facts. There's never been a school shooting in the hundreds of schools that allow staff to carry. Now, that is demonstrably untrue because people quickly pointed out, like Matt Bender, one of the most infamous instances of the very thing you say never happened was at Parkland, where the armed school officer was too scared to engage with the shooter, even though he had a gun himself. Yeah. So he is paid to feign ignorance on this particular issue. And there's a reason why the pseudo solutions that Republicans propose,
it's our position, or at least I'll speak for myself, is my position that what does gun control do? It doesn't fix the problem of despair, the problem of mental health, and the various other issues that surround a lot of these school shootings. It doesn't fix any of those problems. It's the same thing that giving money to the police state does. Adding more cops, it doesn't fix the problem of poverty. All you're doing, it's like adding more police to your neighborhood. Doing gun control is like having a boiling pot of water. And the boiling pot of water is going to boil over at some point. But what you do, you just go, if I put the top on it, it's not boiling anymore. Is it not boiling? Or you just have a top on it? So does taking guns away fix the issue? So if Republicans are not willing to come aboard on gun control, then why don't you do some legislation on something else, like the underlying problem that would lead somebody to pick up a gun? You notice how they're not going to that? So no gun control. Why don't you do a mental health bill? Not mental health bill to restrict guns, mental health bill to fund people to get mental treatment. That would alleviate or at least contribute to fixing this problem. If you have people with mental health problems and then you give them mental health help, isn't that the solution? The Democratic Party want to make it seem like gun control is the only solution that's going to fix this problem. So that tells me they're not really trying to fix the problem. They're just trying to have an issue that they can go red and blue, red and blue. That's all they're interested in. Is having, you notice he said go vote. Because why when you go, damn, since you won't take the gun out of the person who has a mental health history, let's go ahead and give the person who has a mental health history more mental health help. They won't say that because it's not about fixing the problem. It is absolutely not about fixing the problem. It's about red and blue. That's it. So let's continue with. Actually, let's go to the next one. I think we've heard the professional managerial class plays this gun control issue. That's what they play. This is a issue that they like to play. This is a long-term issue that's not like similar to a this is actually very similar to the abortion rights. It would take the act of a Supreme Court to change anything about gun control or gun rights or gun control or whichever you use, because conservatives will say gun rights about this issue. In the same way that it happened to abortion. It's no other way. Since they're using this as a way of triggering people to vote. Is really shameless in my opinion. But let's look and see. There's another couple other videos we have on this. So we have Oh, so Nina Turner is not on there. She has some fill-ins there, but we can let's watch the unbossed on this first before we go to the majority report. So here goes unbossed. Again, I don't need to hear the fighting and stuff. I just want to get to the commentary. So let's get to the commentary. And we'll go here.
School. Have you ever worked in a school? It's a yes or no question.
Clearly, Republican Thomas Massie ain't never worked in a school, but he got schooled that day. That's right, because Bowman had taught in the Bronx. He also founded a public middle school there where he was a principal for decades. He gives a damn about the kids and the fact that they're dying because the Republicans want to keep getting their coins from the NRA. 6 lives are on the table now, including 7 of the shooter. And we have the picture of those 6 lives that were innocent here. And those are the individuals who Bowman were speaking out for in that moment.
Now, this is truly a shame. This is truly a shame here. Because Bowman was not speaking for them. Bowman was speaking for his blue team. Bowman said, march them all the way down to the 2024 election. Bowman didn't say march them down there, keep asking them the questions all the way down to their family's house, parents' house. The parents that have to see these bury their dead kids. It don't matter how much they're masking, pretending, and virtue signaling. If you break down the language and the words they choose, you can almost always spot that they're not being sincere. Especially these and that was sort of a planned to be spontaneous looking monologue. And he probably just had points he wanted to hit on, not specific speech. But no, he was not doing that.
Moment, and that's what he feels, and rightly so. So many of us across the nation, including myself, have felt it. We simply want meaningful change. I don't think I'm asking for too much. I don't think Bowman's asking for too much, and I don't think America's asking for too much. AB, what am I missing here?
I'm not sure what you're missing, to be quite honest with you. I guess at this point, it's if.
Man, these liberal black folk, boy. Jesus. These liberal black folks. I have some in my family here. Can't do it. So I had to take a break, a mental break. So, all right, so let's get back in here. Listen to these. I'm not going to defame them. These black women, astute black women who are liberal, give their opinion on this.
If everyone's hands is tied, then who does the responsibility of fixing this issue fall on? Because that's all we continue to hear is that we can't do more. We can't do more to fix it. We can't do more to protect children. We don't want to give up our gun rights.
What happens if you pass this law and then there's another mass shooting? Then what do we do? Then we start to say, well, the law we just passed didn't cover this one.
Right. So whose job is it to make sure that we are protecting the very population of people that we say that we love and we want to make sure that they're good to go, right? I think to go to Marjorie Taylor's point, it's getting, I'm fed up because at this point you feed so much false information. Like you take apples and call them oranges. When you talk about how we're protecting the president and how we protect celebrities and stuff like that, you're really gaslighting because the people who are in charge of protecting those people, not only are they screened to make sure that they are qualified to protect these people, but they are also trained on using whatever weapons that they use for protection. So let's start there. I have another issue too, just with how the conversation that Mr. Bowman had, because people were labeling it as like, oh, they had this heated conversation, this heated argument. No, I think it was passionate, right? And it was well informed, and it was a conversation that needed to be had and that people need to hear, like citizens, American citizens hearing our representatives and our.
Completely different take than I had. This was theater. I don't know how to reach this Black person. Like, there's nothing for me to offer to reach this Black person. This type of Black person. So let's go to the next one. That's a majority report. Majority report has the R on it, right? Yeah. Right here. And here is the majority report. I don't need to preface it. We already know. It says Democrat rips Republican cowardice on gun control. Majority report, Emma.
Here is Jamaal Bowman before he was in Congress, a principal. He's an educator. So he has emotional, direct experience with what it's like to protect children in the school system. And so he kind of went off and was vocally incredibly frustrated about the Republicans in the House, now they have the majority, refusing to support gun control legislation in the wake of yet another school shooting in Tennessee. And Bowman basically calls out Republicans to their face and gets into it with one of the more pro-gun representatives in the House, Thomas Massie. Take a look.
Ask them, and they go to the Senate and ask the same questions. They're cowards.
Let's go here. Right to the end, and then.
Okay, I'll bring it down to that.
Yeah. Thomas Massie has not worked in the school, but he has raised a lot of money from corporations, and I'm pretty sure he has some trails of breadcrumbs that will lead to organizations like the NRA. But
is it worse for Thomas Massie to sell out the working class in exchange for donations, meaning he's getting something back? Or is it worse to take money from working class people and say you're going to do something that you can't do because you're part of a party that doesn't want to do it? And you can go down the list of all the policies you're talking about. $15 minimum wage, cutting the military budget, healthcare, Medicare for all. Just go down the list. They're not for that. I think that's worse. It's worse to sell a pipe dream to a worker when you know that's never going to happen, especially when you're joining a party that doesn't want it. Let's continue.
Speak for let this image speak for itself here. Thomas Massie, that's the representative getting into it.
This is so culture war-y. Because having a dispute about guns, if you're having a serious conversation, you're going to be talking about Second Amendment. Like, you'll be bringing up some of the things. You'll be talking about Second Amendment. And what did he say in that video? Second Amendment, maybe guns, school officers having guns, having school officers. Like, that's what you're talking about. You're not showing pictures of somebody having a gun. That's when you're in the, I'm playing part of the culture war. Look, he's carrying a gun. What does that mean? There's several people I know on my freaking Facebook that I can go to right now, and there's pictures of them with guns, and they had nothing to do with the Republican Party. So what does this do? This is very culture warrior-ish. Culture war, I should say. Let's keep it there. I'm not going to say she's a culture warrior, but culture war.
Into it with Jamaal Bowman there. Jamaal Bowman's actually worked with children, understands what it means to protect them, to have their well-being.
This is actually, we should all have this. If it's a group of leftists, all of us should be packing just like that. Just like this. That's my perspective.
Being in mind, Thomas Massie knows everything about guns and ammunition. And I just want to reiterate this point that I made earlier as well, because I think it can't be overstated. Republicans refusing to act on gun control is not just because they have an obsession with guns and they see it as in their political best interest. They also don't really care to do anything about gun control because they're fine with public spaces being fairly unsafe, and public spaces include our public institutions like schools.
Yeah. This is where it's getting very culture warish. Because again, she's veering off from policy about gun control. So now she's saying a personal trait. You don't care. We can say that about damn near every topic. Let's finish out this one and finish out this segment.
From their efforts to go after critical race theory, make schools inhospitable.
See, this is nothing but culture war. Interjecting another one.
To teachers, particularly if they're LGBTQ or Black, non-conservative in states like Florida. There are years-long efforts to undercut teachers' unions, demonizing them on Fox News over and over and over again, forcing them back into schools during COVID, not listening to the Chicago Teachers Union, saying that they're against the children that they are employed for very low wages to educate and protect and spend time with on a daily basis.
Jamaal Bowman condemns gun violence domestically, yet he condones fiscal policy to fund a proxy war via Ukraine, perpetuating that concern internationally. Yes. So somebody should go up to Jamaal and show him a Ukrainian kid and say, hey, gun violence, you sent money over here for this? This is why I said social democracy will never be the solution, because social democracy won't attack capital. And the reason he's okay with it domestically, calling for gun control, and not internationally, is because the weapons manufacturer is the biggest freaking behemoth, probably behind pharmaceutical industry, or maybe tied, being powerful, not willing to attack capital, social democracy, and social democrats. Ronald Reagan loved gun control because the Black Panthers had guns. And that leads to this comment here I wanted to put up. Gun control is inherently racist. That is true. Because whose guns are being removed primarily in these gun controls? And there's a lot of other things that makes it racist. That's just one layer. That's not the only reason. I don't want to go off into a tangent, because that topic that could be like a whole separate topic. That thing that if you So it's crazy. Let's. Oh, I heard somebody say something.
Basis from the opposition to free school lunches in other states. Thankfully, Minnesota just passed it, but you saw the extremism from the Republican minority on the Minnesota State House floor, basically arguing against it, saying that that should not be a part of what a public school provides. They are deeply invested ideologically to their core, the Republican Party, in ensuring that the institution of public school, and I know that in this Tennessee instance, it was a private school, but still, this is a part of like a broader effort.
It doesn't fit with your social democrat soliloquy or your monologue here, huh, Emma? You had, because you was going off and then, oh, it's a private school. Sorry, let me interject that part. So anyway, same, run of the mill social commentary on it. I guess I can check and see if Rational National put out anything on it. He has the Trump indictment, so maybe we'll use him I'll use him for the Trump indictment. Yeah, we'll do that. Doesn't look like he put out anything for Bowman, so we'll use Rational National for see what he thinks of the Trump indictment. This is a slippery slope. Anyway, I don't want to jump the gun. Let's wait for that topic. It is coming up. I do want to bring up a couple of the. Hang on a second here. Let me just type Jamaal Bowman and Thomas Massie. Oops, not this. There we go. Just curious to see if anything funny. So it actually made CNN. It's on CNN. It's on MSNBC. It's on all the news outlets. We looked at his. This is truly funny. It's truly hilarious. All right, I think I'm gonna go back to Twitter. Give you a couple of more updates. Let's see what's the latest on it, and then we'll move to the Trump news and get out of here. So this will probably be like an hour and a half, like a 90-minute stream. So let's hang on a second here. Let's take that off. What I'm going to do is update this here. So if you are watching right now, I'm going to update the thumbnail midstream so people know we're talking about Trump. Because all day today, the topic was supposed to be Jamaal Bowman, and then the Trump news, not all day, but since it was published, then the Trump news came. So since I'm coming up with Trump, I'll adjust the graphic so people know that's what's going on here. And let me add them to the title. Trump indicted. Trump indicted. All right, so I added that in there. And that'll give people a little bit of heads up that we're about to talk about Trump. All right, so let's now go to a couple of announcements. Something I keep forgetting to bring up here. Oh, this is not something I forgot, but this is something I was going to add, and that is we put up our email. So I've tried this before, but and put together a group and it didn't work out. But I want to try it again. And that is Lefty Comedy. working on a lefty. I want to do a lefty comedy project. So if you do anything like, and this will all be remote. I won't give you the idea of the show because it's pretty funny. I think it's pretty funny. This will be all remote. So if you're a writer, if you're a director, if you do sound, if you do lighting, if you produce, if you're a producer, anything like that, email us and in the title put Lefty Comedy. Because, we want to present more than just political talk. We want to present comedy from a political point of view, or comedy from a political point of view. We want to do weather. I know Rome wants to add weather and missing kids to the network, have shows for that. So we want to expand. This is an idea in my wheelhouse, which is production. So lefty comedy, if you are interested in all of those. Now, there's something else. If you are, here's another one. The other thing we're looking for is, I just lost my train of thought. Anyway, if I remember, I will add it later. All right, before we get to the Trump, make sure you check out our website, revolutionaryblackoutnetwork.com. We've had several members add. Thank you for those brand new members. $3.99 is the membership level, the only one we offer right now. So check that out if you are interested. And welcome again the new members that joined today. I'll leave it there, and I'll make that second announcement later. So let's now go to the Trump indictment, and I guess this is pretty big news. Trump indicted, and let's listen to some of the news of his indictment, and take it from there. So let's go to Trump. So much stuff going on. This just fell out of the sky, I guess. Or I guess he thought it was last Tuesday. Did he say Tuesday of this week and it ended up being Thursday? Happy Trump Indictment Day. Wow, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Let me see what this is, though. All right. All right, let's get to the alert. Here it is right here.
Donald Trump has been indicted by...
So this is when it actually broke, and then we'll go to the longer news clip, but this is when it broke.
Here, we have just gotten word former President Donald Trump has been indicted by a grand jury in New York. Trump was under investigation by the DA's office for his alleged hush money payment to adult film star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 campaign. Here, we have just gotten word former President Donald Trump has...
You can hear the I guess it's a co-anchor. You can hear that person gasp when they see the teleprompter, obviously, or the graphic pop up that Trump is being indicted. So, which doesn't mean much, especially when you're rich. So let's go to an actual news report here. Here goes CNN, because this is what they've been telling their audience for so long. So to have this is almost like delivering on their propaganda.
We have major breaking news, indeed historic breaking news right now. CNN's Kara Scannell is in New York for us covering this story. What are you learning, Kara?
Well, three sources tell me, and my colleague John Miller, that a Manhattan grand jury has indicted former President Donald Trump in connection with the hush money payment scheme. This indictment is under seal, according to sources, and the exact charges are not yet known at this time. But this investigation has been going on for a long time. The decision to move and seek and get an indictment of a former president is the first time that has been done in U.S. history. This could have a significant impact on the presidential campaign.
And let's talk about that, because all this is going to do is elect Trump, in my opinion. In my opinion, because one, they're making this big, and the charge is surrounding the Stormy Daniels thing. It's not like anything governmental that he did wrong. Okay, so what's up, Don? Oh no, never mind. Forgot what I was just saying. Anyway, let's watch the next clip. The wifey came in. I thought they were gone, so it surprised me. Anyway, let's listen to Gutfield in this short clip speak on it. This is Gutfield on Fox News.
He is an OG, right? If they give me, I mean, he is a badass. If he's got a mugshot, you might as well go right into it. And the thing is, his poll numbers have gone up with this. I just think this is going to make sure he is going to be on the ticket. Yeah,
and I completely agree. This, like, unless they're trying to use it as a way of it's two things. It's a couple of things. They could be using this as a way of testing to see what the backlash will be. This is why this is not really a huge charge, or they're starting with this, or they're going to use this as a way to prevent him from running. Like, there's some kind of technicality. Like, if he gets convicted of something, is there a technicality where they can say, oh, because you have this conviction, you can't run for president? I'm not aware if there's anything like that, but if there is, please let me know. But they think this doesn't do anything. All this does is entrench the people who's already red and entrench the people who's already blue. So it's just getting the color, the hue of the blue and the red is just getting richer. That's all. You're not changing anybody's minds with this stuff. So, and I think this indictment will energize the red team more than it will energize the blue team, because the blue team is going, oh, finally, to rest. And the red team is just gearing up over this news. So let's go to the next one. Now, this guy right here, Adam Carolla, is just a clown. He's been a clown for a while. But indictment. He's on Tucker, I guess. So this is Tucker and Adam Carolla.
So I think there's that element to it. The other one is kind of interesting, which is we make proclamations. Like Merrick Garland says, white supremacy is the biggest problem this country faces and the most danger this country faces. And everyone laughs at him. Yeah. And then he goes out and finds it. So then he goes and arrests parents at Virginia school board meetings, right? So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they're going to turn Trump into a martyr. People are going to go out and protest. Somebody's going to do something stupid, and then they're going to fire up the DOJ, just like January 6th, but outside now, and snap into action. So they make proclamations, and then they need to find the crime, and then we'll find this. So certainly people are going to push back. Someone's going to do something stupid or not. CNN, MSNBC, the answers from The View, they're all going to blow it up into this, and then the stormtroopers come in.
So it does feel like the population is being pushed into a corner for a reason. I'm not just imagining that.
I feel like it's to get them to react so that the government can now swoop in and do a self-fulfilling prophecy, because everybody who reacts to this is going to be a white supremacist. And remember, we told you that white supremacy is the biggest problem this country faces.
How long can they scream at whites before that just becomes ineffective?
It's like I've said a million times, there's never been a better time to be called a racist. You could just be lumped in with everyone else in this country, anyone who voted Republican. And to your other point, I think.
All right, this is more Tucker. This looks like this is from a different person. So Tucker is hinting at right-wing violence in response to Trump's indictment. Just blue-red game. So here is Tucker and somebody who's liberal is saying he's hinting at violence.
And you wonder about motive. I mean, so on Monday, Christian children were killed by a trans activist, and the White House immediately defended trans activists and said they're the real victims here. Now, Thursday, you see Democrats indict the Republican frontrunner. It almost feels like they're pushing the population to react. We think they're demoralized and passive. Let's see if they really are. I mean, at what point do we conclude they're doing this in order to produce a reaction? And you wonder about motive. I mean, so on Monday, Christian children were killed by a trans activist, and the White House immediately defended trans activists and said they're the real victims here. Now, Thursday, you see Democrats indict the Republican frontrunner. It almost feels like they're pushing the population to react. We think they're demoralized and passive. Let's see if they really are. I mean, at what point do we conclude they're doing this in order to produce a reaction? And you wonder about motive. I mean, so
now,
on Monday,
he's
Christian
doing the same thing that Jamaal Bowman did, but just from the right. Theater. Oh, not this guy. I don't know who that is to be watching that one. Is this another? This is Donald Trump Jr., and he just put this out 8 minutes ago. So I guess this is breaking news right here. If you haven't seen it, Donald Trump Jr. put this out about his dad.
Durham probe into the Russia collusion hoax. President Trump has just been impeached on both Article 1 and
only president of the United States to be impeached for a second
January
time.
6th committee releasing its final 845-page report.
Former President Donald Trump has been indicted.
Remember this: nothing worth doing ever came easy. Following your convictions means you must be willing to face criticism from those who lack the same courage to do what is right. Relish the opportunity to be an outsider. Embrace that label. Being an outsider is fine. Embrace the label, because it's the outsiders who change the world and who make a real and lasting difference. The more that a broken system tells you that you're wrong, the more certain you should be that you must keep pushing ahead.
This is a party that wants an outsider badly.
I continue to believe Mr. Trump will not be president.
You must keep pushing forward. Never, ever give up. There'll be times in your life you'll want to quit, you'll want to go home. I can't do it. I can't do it. Just never quit. You will build a future where we have the courage to chase our dreams no matter what the cynics and the doubters have to say. You will have the confidence to speak the hopes in your hearts and to express the love that stirs your souls. And you will have the faith to replace a broken establishment with a government that serves and protects the people. They're not coming after me, they're coming after you. I'm just standing in their way. And I always will stand in their way.
This motherfucker has a campaign ad ready to go for his indictment. How is Donald Trump playing checkers at his IQ level? How is that happening? Unless the person he's playing with is even dumber than him. Then is it really chess or is it just Uno? You know what I'm saying? Is it really chess that he's playing or Uno? And the person is still dumber than him. But the point being, the decision to say I'm not down with the Ukraine war and the gold peace was already going to get him elected. It got Ron DeSantis to change his position. Now, he's already telling people indictments coming, prepared all of his people for it, and he has a campaign ad ready to go. This shouldn't be this. I stopped it. I didn't even finish watching it. Oh, it's still 13 seconds. My bad. Oh, that's all. Campaign ad. The Sun just put it out. Clowns. All right, so this is the one Tucker himself put out. So let's listen to that one.
3 hours ago, when a grand jury in Manhattan, one of the most liberal cities in America, a place where 80% voted for Joe Biden in the last election, decided to indict.
Why are you
Biden's
interjecting that? Either these people are part of the law or they not. This is Tucker playing culture war. This is Tucker's culture war. So let's listen.
political opponent in the upcoming election, the Republican frontrunner, a man who leads by 30 points in polls, Donald Trump. And the jury did this at the urging of a man called Alvin Bragg. He's the Manhattan district attorney who has been famous so far by making the city much more dangerous by refusing to enforce laws against crimes like robbery and rape. Now, we don't know at this hour what the indictment says. We don't know specifically what the charges are, but previous news reports suggest they will emanate from an alleged payment 7 years ago, a payment that federal regulators said violated no law, but that Alvin Bragg apparently believes is a crime. Either way, the net result is Donald Trump is the first former president of the United States ever to be indicted. So no matter what happens next, we can be certain there is no coming back from this moment. There could be retaliation from red states. The governor of Florida has already said, Ron DeSantis has already issued a statement saying that he will not participate in any extradition of Donald Trump to New York. That's apparently scheduled for next week. As you can probably tell, we're not certain of the full outlines of the story, but we know this moment is a historic one.
That's true. Who's going to extradite him? What state would extradite him? Do you think Ron DeSantis, if he's in Florida, is going to extradite him? If he didn't want to show up, I'm sure that the former president will show up. I'm sure his lawyers will convince him, no, you need to go take care of this. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So let's continue.
We want to set tonight in facts, those that we have so far. We're going to do that as we always do with the help of Fox's Trace Gallagher, who is with us tonight on set. Hey, Trace.
And we're going to have more of DeSantis coming up on this, but it's important to remember, Tucker, that Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg has chosen to pursue a case that was investigated and rejected by two previous sets of prosecutors because, one, the case is politically explosive, as we all know, and two, it requires using largely untested legal theory. In fact, even Alvin Bragg himself initially decided against prosecuting Trump. The case, as Tucker was saying, is centered around a 130,000.
So why would it happen? Other prosecutors said no. Alvin Bragg, if he's true, if he's lying, if he's telling the truth, said no initially. Is the pressure coming to bring charges publicly? To do what? To sway an election? Let's continue.
$1,000 payment to porn star Stormy Daniels, who claims she had an affair with Trump. The DA, Alvin Bragg, could not charge this case as a misdemeanor because the statute of limitations on a misdemeanor ran out back in 2018. And to charge it as a felony.
So the statute of limitations has also ran out. You have to ask yourself, why are they doing this? Is it for justice in the law? It is not. It is absolutely not. So the Democrats had just opened up a can of worms here.
The felony, the Manhattan DA had to perform what many call legal gymnastics and say it was a campaign finance violation going down that road. Numerous legal experts have pointed out that it would be monumentally improbable to prove that Donald Trump paid Stormy Daniels in an effort to win the White House instead of, say, an effort to save his marriage, etc. Here's law professor Jonathan Turley weighing in on the indictment just a short time ago. Watch.
The concern is that if this theory is actually the basis of the indictment, then this is a rather ignoble moment in history. Donald Trump may be the first former president to be indicted, but if this is the standard, he won't be the last.
The case would rely almost solely on the testimony of former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen, who claims that Donald Trump directed him to pay Stormy Daniels the hush money on the eve of the 2016 election in exchange for keeping her quiet. But Michael Cohen is also a convicted felon who's known for stretching the truth. Cohen's former legal advisor, a man named Robert Costello, who testified before this grand jury, was on Tucker Carlson tonight back on March 20th. Watch this.
I called them up after I saw Michael Cohen on TV stating things that he said he was going to tell the grand jury and had told the grand jury that were contrary to what he told us when we first represented him in April of 2018. So I'm sitting at home watching these lies, and I said, I've got to do something about it.
Okay, so we still don't know what the actual charges are because it's unlikely they'll be unsealed until the former president legally surrenders, which likely would happen sometime next week. Donald Trump issued a statement about the indictment that reads in part, quoting here, the Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession with trying to get Trump, but now they've done the unthinkable, indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference. Even Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who could run against Trump in 2024, slammed the indictment, quoting again, the weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head. It is un-American. And DeSantis makes a great point because if the charges are what we expect, then it does appear this is a political prosecution. Federal prosecutors have repeatedly turned this case down, and now you have a state prosecutor taking it on. Donald Trump's poll numbers have gone up in the past month, and this could lift those numbers even further.
And
because
they
there
will
be
absolutely
a groundswell of
lift those
emotion.
numbers, indicting this guy, especially on the, like, this is such a low level charge that even if he pled, it'll probably be pled down. And it's he's testing a legal theory that's not hasn't proved. So there's two charges here. Okay. One, they're charging it through a grand jury instead of a misdemeanor because the statute of limitations as a misdemeanor has ran out. So they're trying to keep that charge when the statute of limitations have ran out and couple it with something else. Two charges. And make and bring it that way. So that's what he means by untested waters, because this has never been done. Something has been ran out of statute of limitations, and now you're trying to go through a grand jury. That's never been done. But this is what I'm saying. It's one of the weakest charges, one of the weakest crimes he's done. So why are you charging it in the first place? On a weak legal theory, then you got to ask yourself, then why are you doing this? It's the same reason they did the impeachment. It's just to get him to not be able to run. That's it. Or win the election. That's it. They're not really trying to convict this person. So, but now, oops, that's not what I meant to do. Now that we've watched a little bit of Tucker Carlson, and now let's watch some CNBC. And this person says John Miller is reporting on CNN that Trump will be charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records. 34. This is from Amy Vanderpool. Writer, lawyer, Wow. So let's this is brand new to me. This is an hour ago. I didn't see this.
And I am told by my sources that this is 34 counts of falsification of business records, which is probably a lot of charges involving each document, each thing that was submitted as a separate count in a couple of matters. And I am told by my sources that this is 34 counts.
Classic overcharging. Let's just keep going. All right, now let's listen to CNN. This is their minute version. We already watched Wolf Blisters. It was like 15 seconds, I think. Was it? Sorry. There's, as you can tell, there's a lot more Republican or conservative reply because they're more riled up about this. Oh, let's look at Michael Rappaport. This is shit lib. He's a shit lib, and he's a progressive, I guess, but he's in the all in deep in culture war shit. What did they win though? What do you win by an indictment? Where is there a win here that he's getting indicted? Some papers? I don't understand. That's all this is all this is about for the professional managerial class and the progressives. This is all this is about. So you can say, ha ha. What does that do? Wait, John Leguma's The Daily Show is already commenting? Wow. I'm getting a lot of breaking information here. Here's The Daily Show talking about it.
We've had such a heavy week of news, so I thought, we'd wrap up things this week with some lighthearted news that's really going to put a smile on your face.
We're interrupting this package right now because we have some breaking news, and it is historic news out of Lower Manhattan right now. A federal jury, a grand jury, has voted to indict former President Trump. The first time ever that a former president has been.
Did you hear all the shit libs in the audience of The Daily Show? What did you win here? He's not going to jail.
Criminally charged.
Clown shit. This is some clown shit right here.
That's right. I lost my chair. Yeah. That's right. That's right. That's right. Lady Justice grabbed Trump by the pussy.
Oh, okay. Like this is like they're toasting, but there isn't anything tangibly you won. You just like want to be able to go, ha ha. This is all this is to these red and blue teams. Ha ha. So I can't play the whole thing because The Daily Show, that would definitely get us copyrighted. But here is Joe Posobiec, I think that's how you say his name, on the timing of the Trump indictment. The Charlie Kirk Show. So here's the Charlie Kirk. I think that's the one on the left, right? Is he the one on the left or the right? But it's Charlie Kirk. Let's listen.
I want to focus on one thing. People are so angry right now. The messages I'm getting, the anger, the fury, all understandable. This is righteous indignation. But what you do with that anger, everybody, they would love nothing more than for people to act uncharacteristic. They need to try to incite you to right-wing violence to justify their mass takeover of the country. It's very important, everybody, to understand this.
Charlie,
yeah, Jack, go ahead.
No, to key off exactly what you're saying, because it wasn't just Nashville. We had these transurrections going on. Kentucky, we had one after they overturned Andy Bashir's veto.
Oh, I thought this was Trump. It is, but they're just adding it together.
In Nashville, in the state capitol building that was going on today. This militant trans narrative was so bad for them. They're activists. They're what did Tucker call them? He called them transgressists. or transgenderists. The transgenderists were just completely going off the chain. That narrative was crashing into the bricks. It looked like there was going to be another incident potentially of transgender violence. So what did they do? They flip everything around, and now they want to make it look, and of course, what else happened this morning was Jacob Chansley got released. The QAnon shaman gets released from jail. We're told this guy was leading the overthrow of the government, and now he's not even in jail anymore. The entire narrative needed to shift. And so what did they do? They want to put the onus of violence back onto MAGA, where they had been pushing it for 2 years, since January 6th. And they're trying to incite that now.
So, believe it or not, that was about Trump. They're saying that in the context of the timing of Trump's indictment. So all of that, what they just said about the trans people and the shooting, is in the context of how it's interesting, the timing, that it's coming right after all of these. I guess they're classifying it as losses. Like the shooting in Nashville was somehow a blue loss. It wasn't just a human loss, I guess. Let's continue. I wanted to get more. As you can see, this is more right-wing stuff. This is not. It's not a lot of. I'm just okay. Here goes CNN. Did I watch this one already? No. This is Pence. Here goes Pence. Wow, we're getting everybody's reaction during this time. So let's listen to this one.
Unprecedented development.
Well, I think the unprecedented indictment of a former president of the United States on a campaign finance issue is an outrage. And it appears to millions of Americans to be nothing more than a political prosecution that's driven by a prosecutor who literally ran for office on the pledge to indict the former president.
But it wasn't just, Mr. Vice President, excuse me for interrupting, it wasn't just the prosecutor, the district attorney in New York who did this. This was a grand jury of some 23 people, and you need a majority, 12, to go ahead and criminally indict.
Well,
unprecedented development.
So that's Mike Pence. He doesn't think you should be indicting a sitting president, or I'm sorry, a former president on a campaign finance charge. But according to that other person on CNN, he said it's 34 counts. I guess that, if it's different signatures, they might be doing, it's overcharging. It'll go like, it's one for each signature on a document or something like that. So we'll see what it ends up being. Yes. Let's continue. Let's see if I can find another. Okay, they got another joke one here from the Daily Show. Daily Show staff, when Trump gets indicted, it's 10 minutes before taping.
All right, this is it, people. Let's move. Let's go, go, go,
go. The Daily Show put that out. All right, so, and we watched the Trump video. So, all right. So as you can see, is that his name? Haas? I guess he's also. Oh, let's check this one out. Keith Olbermann owning, I guess, in his mind, owning Sean Hannity.
But a grand jury can indict, as we say, a ham sandwich, especially if that ham sandwich is Donald J. Trump, and the grand jury is. But a grand jury can indict, as we say, a ham sandwich, especially if that ham sandwich is Donald J. Trump, and the grand jury is.
Yay! They're just cheering. Like, what did you win? I wonder what the people over at Lincoln Project are doing or saying. All right, so let's go back. Because I wanted to play some other non-conservative viewpoints because there was so many so many more clips to play. So let's come back up here now and go back to some of these conservative clips. And here's a new one. This is Tucker Carlson. Oh. Tucker Carlson. Okay, now I think it's going to play.
written, assuming anyone bothers to write it. But if it ever is written, Glenn Beck will have his own chapter as possibly the greatest synthesizer of big ideas ever to appear on camera. And a lot of people made fun of Glenn Beck over the years for that. But if you go back and watch the tape, you will find out that maybe more than any other person on television, Glenn Beck got it right again and again and again. So we thought tonight is the perfect opportunity to hear from him. He's the co-founder of Blaze Media. He's just written a book called The Great Reset, and he joins us now for an overview of what we're watching.
I feel
Glenn Beck,
special.
thank you so much
We're getting
for coming on tonight.
we're getting comments from everybody. Mike Pence. Who else do we get? A couple of clips from Tucker Carlson. Then we had Charlie Kirk. And then the other guy was a Jack Pasalbi. I think he might be famous too. But let's listen.
How
Thank you. That's
would you
very
interpret
kind of you to
this?
say.
Well, it's true.
So let me, I've got a couple of things here for you. Let me just go through. I'm going to bring I think a different perspective to this. We have the banking crisis. They say it's fine. It's just beginning. Yesterday, we had the Saudis and Brazil and China enter a deal to where the petrodollar is over. Brazil and China are going to trade in their own currency. That's the beginning of the end of our currency. That means a dollar collapse. That means we become Venezuela. We will have war with China. We will have war with Russia and Iran. We have the restrict bill. We have social media and our NSA and everybody else in bed with each other, silencing people. We, of course, have the raccoon dogs, which we all know is bullcrap. And now this week, we have a new gun grab that they're trying to do. Biden and his family taking money from the Chinese. What do you think this Donald Trump thing is really all about? The America that we knew, the fundamental transformation that started in 2008 is finished. We are no longer viewed as a superpower. We are now an elderly.
So I think, is Glenn Beck saying this Trump indictment is just a distraction from all the other things that's happening, like the petrodollar becoming a multipolar world? Is that what he's trying to say? Let's listen some more.
Elderly, we're Joe Biden just walking into the twilight. What this is all about, I believe, is trying to inflame this country. They've wanted violence from the right from the beginning. They can't wait it. They need it, because if we strike out, look at January 6th, the day they're letting the shaman out of prison because it was all trumped up. Thank you, Tucker Carlson, for revealing this. The day they're letting him out, they do this to Donald Trump. They want you to strike out. Why? Because then they can close the cage. I'm going to make another prediction for you, Tucker. You said I got it right. Well, everything I've been talking about since 2008, this is the time. I'm going to make a prediction. By 2025, we are going to be at war. We are going to have a new dollar, a currency that probably is coming from the central bank. We'll have a currency collapse.
That's not a prediction. That's literally, anybody can guess that. Anybody can see that has eyes, sir. You're really not making any sort of predictions, Glenn Beck. A freaking 5-year-old can predict what you just said. So let's go away from Glenn Beck and maybe get a couple more. I think I might have an article. Is it Charlie Kirk? Yeah, Charlie Kirk on Trump indictment. So this is before he brought on the other guy. So let's listen.
Critical that this is a designed campaign to try to make you act uncharacteristic. They need right-wing violence to justify the next phase of their takeover of the country. This is exactly why they are talking the way they're talking. Karine Jean-Pierre coming out and saying that our heart goes out to the transgender community when a trans person goes and murders Christians. It's almost as if they want you to reach a breaking point. You got to understand that you're living through a moment that, of course, is unprecedented, but it is strategic. So there's several takeaways here, but I think the first is critical. That this is a...
So the conservatives, Glenn Beck is saying that this too, is that they're trying to incite violence out of you. Now, them as capitalists could just be pretending that's what they're trying to use reverse psychology. Hey, don't be upset because, that's what they want to get out of you. They could be trying to use reverse psychology because as capitalists, they don't want property damage either. But yeah. Okay, here goes more from Tucker Carlson. Let's listen.
How do you expect this trial, assuming I guess there's going to be one, to play out with the jury pool in New York?
Hey, Tucker, thanks for having me. First, I'd like to say, like your former colleague, Jason Whitlock, my heart goes out to America today. My heart is broken. I had some tears in my eyes earlier. Jason is such a great guest. Every time I listen to him, he's incredible. And like him, my heart is broken. And any lawyer that graduated law school should be completely outraged by what's going on. Completely outraged. As far as the jury pool goes, I hope that my fellow New Yorkers are going to be there to listen to what's going on. But, I've tried probably over 50 cases. My partner has probably tried over 200 cases here in New York City. I'm not sure I have complete faith in the jury pool here. We live in a blue state and a blue city with a blue prosecutor. So I'm a little concerned about the jury pool and the fact that it's not going to be a jury of his peers.
In a city where people defecate on the sidewalk? Yeah, maybe not. Maybe I'm just kind of thinking that. Okay. Luke, thank you for confirming our suspicions there. Appreciate it. Great to see you.
Thanks, Tucker.
All right, I think we will cut it there. Plus, we got a clip that's premiering. Let me check messages with Erin here and see if she sent me something. Okay, so I am reading FYI. So, Aaron, if you're watching, yes, I got your message. And yes, so if the videos are longer than 30 minutes, yes. That works. If longer than 30 minutes. All right. Yeah, I think I'm going to get out of here. There is a video that's going to be premiering. That works if longer than 30 minutes. All right. So, and I think she might be watching too. All right, Aaron, thank you for getting those clips up. We have one premiering, 6:45. That's 4 minutes. So I'm going to be getting out of here. Hit that like button on your way out. I'm not leaving this second, but hit your like button on your way out. Trump has been indicted now. An indictment has nothing to do with a conviction. An indictment doesn't actually mean they may not even go through with the charges. So this is literally just the first step, but people are acting like this guy is about to go to prison. He's never going to set one foot in prison. There's not by us. The only time a president of the United States is going to set foot in prison is after we've overthrown Capitol. That's the only time that would ever occur. So don't expect that. But let me read the super chats before I get out of here. Here's one. I don't agree with Massie on much, but he didn't vote for the CARES Act. And yeah, I do remember that. And he's been one of the most vocal in the House pushing back on Ukraine funding. Yes, but the CARES Act and Ukraine funding, I view like Tucker's also wasn't it? I view that more as a libertarian viewpoint on why you're not for it. So like he's not anti-war, he's just not for Ukraine funding because he's a libertarian and he thinks it's bad funding, bad way of spending capital. And the same with the CARES Act. So I don't think they're choosing it on policy. I think they're choosing it because it's capitalist and there's capitalist reasons to pick that. A note to everyone, don't be fooled by Trump's indictment. It's nothing more than political theater. Our far more important issue, Bill S-686, for example. Yes, and I covered that. That segment's coming out tomorrow. Thank you, Yep X, for that note. This one here, I said this early, read this one earlier, but a master class in political theater. That's the Bowman is so cringe, and that is absolutely correct. All right, so I think that's all I got. We have a video premiering literally yet a Restrict Act. And I call it basically the Restrict Act is a better Patriot Act. And that's what the segment is going to be tomorrow. Either tomorrow or Saturday, because I think Aaron may have made the ones for today already. But yes, the Restrict Act is terrible, and we have to mobilize against that. All right, everybody, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm not gonna do a video because I'm not gonna do an outro video because there is a premiere video in literally less than a minute. Just log off this one and go watch that one. And thank you for watching, though. This has been a doozy of a day when you're talking breaking news. We had the Jamaal Bowman fiasco break, and then we had this last thing break here. So like the stream on your way out. Thank you for watching. Name is CJ. I'll see you guys.